So I've been dancing since I was maybe 6 years old.
I've been doing art since I was a child.
Growing up, music was a really big part of my life at home.
I used to dance at this place called Mystic Ballet, which is in Stonington, Connecticut, and that's where I grew up. It was a ballet school and also a ballet company, so like around 13 we were allowed to apply to be part of the junior company so that we could perform in like the big company productions for the public and stuff. So I did that for a few years before I came here.
I'm mainly a self-taught photographer. I took one art class. It was a film photography class in 9th grade, but up until this year all of my photography has been self-learned, and so I've experimented and I've learned pretty much online a lot of different techniques and how to perfect my work.
My dad plays the guitar, he sings, he plays the violin as well, and he taught my brother how to play the violin, and it was just always in my house. There was always some sort of sound coming out of my house. And my sister sings as well. And I remember my dad always kind of focused on her, and I would always kind of just be there when they were having lessons and all of that. But yeah, I didn't really take it as seriously as I do now. I would kind of just sing songs off the radio, and I would accompany myself because I learned how to play the guitar when I was younger.
Now that I'm at Lawrenceville, dancing is still a big part of my life. I've been here for 4 years. In the fall and in the spring, I do dance as my sports credit, and I'm in advance, so that means I have dance classes 4 times a week. There's 2 classes of ballet, 1 class of jazz, and 1 class of modern, and they're an hour and a half each. Right now it's the spring, so it's spring dance concert, and I'm in 3 dances, so each dance is allowed to have an hour of rehearsal every week. And I'm in Mr. Wilder's dance, which is like an hour and a half of rehearsal, since Mr. Wilder is the dance director.
The biggest influence Lawrenceville has had on my art is this year's advanced studio class being 6 people. I get super intimate feedback and contact with my teacher and other students in the class because it's so small and because we get so much time to ourselves to focus on our own interests. We don't have many instructed works. There's a lot of freedom in this class, and so I've been able to take my art in directions that a typical class wouldn't let you. I
took music when I came here as a freshman, and I was working with Mr. Palmer actually and Mr. Rockley, I remember. And sophomore year they had auditions for, the end of freshman year they had auditions for Laurentians, and I just remember the first time I ever saw Laurentians, I was kind of just like this freshman who walked into midday music because I didn't really know what midday music was, and they all came in with their red ties and their black suits and dresses, and they looked so cool, and they were singing all of these songs, and I thought it was amazing. Laurentians has been like one of the best things that I've been a part of at Lawrenceville. It's kind of like, to me, I see it as a sports team. Like if some people really like to be on the lacrosse team because they love to play and like they're great players and all of that, like to me Laurentians is kind of like my team.
So Mr. Wilder is great. He's kind of like the old dance teachers I had, but also a lot nicer. I had like teachers from Russia and all around like Central America and Eastern Europe, and they grew up dancing and they were so mean. And Mr. Wilder has also grown up dancing, so I mean he knows a lot about what he's talking about, but he is a lot nicer than my old teachers. I would always go home crying, and Mr. Wilder never makes me crying.
My teacher for the first 2 terms was Mr. Daniel, and my teacher now for the spring term is Mr. Robertson, and pretty much during the week, at least once a week, we all set up our works in a hallway, and we just sit and look at them and critique them, and each person gets to describe their work and say what the influences for it were and some of their techniques. Others will give feedback on it, and a lot of the feedback comes from the teacher, and so that's been really helpful for learning how to make our work go in the right way.
Mr. Palmer has done so much for the choir. He's done so much for us. He doesn't just teach us how to sing. He teaches us about the history of the music that we're singing. He always has these facts, and he told us the other day that one of the songs we're singing in the choir has over 400 Latin words, and you know, like that's just, we're learning so much about music, and we're learning how to sing at the same time. And also Mr. Goman, he's the pianist for Lawrenceville. He's one of the most amazing piano players I've ever met in my entire life, and he's always there. He's always helping us as well.
My name is Vivienne Gao.
My name is Jack Hardie.
My name is Melissa Batz.
And I'm a Lawrenceville artist.
And I'm a Lawrenceville artist.
And I'm a Lawrenceville artist.